Ready?
Let's do this, T.
Break.
Let's do this.
What are we gonna say? Go Chambos.
No, we can say go T-Rex.
Go T-Rex. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Ultimate Hobbyist. We're the Chamberlains, Daniel and
Samantha.
Samantha. You mispronounced your own name.
Intentionally. It's just jokes.
I married her. So
You chose.
thanks for coming back. We're well into this. I think we're like 6 or 7 episodes in now. It's going great. Like 24 people have heard us talk.
Whoa.
I think it's more than that. We might be in the
It's a
30s.
quarter of 100.
A quarter of 100 people. And it's probably the same. It's 24 downloads. It's more than that. That's in the last 30 days. We've been going for longer than 30 days. Almost a month and a half. Anyway, so tonight, we wanted to talk about some of our travels. Traveling is something we both enjoy. I've got to do quite a bit of it through the military. We're not going to talk about that tonight. I'm just going to save that for a military adventures episode that I'll just probably do by myself, or maybe have Brian back on.
With Brian again.
Yeah, because he's been there for 2 of my 3 big adventures.
Do one with your brother.
I could do one with my brother. I'll ask him. Anyway, but we wanted to do just what we've done as a couple, some of our adventures, because we've done a lot. We've been married
Some years.
7 years, almost. Did I get that right?
No.
Got married in 16. This is 22.
It'll be 6 this year. But we've been together for 7.
Because we're not past the midway. Yeah, you're right. Anyway. Okay, so I'm wrong. 6 years. It's better to overdo it than underdo it, right? But we've traveled almost every year, like we've gone somewhere. Maybe not always intentionally planned, but we end up going somewhere. Hi, Beccatini. Anyway, so yes, our travels, we've ended up going several places. We've been together to multiple countries now. We've kind of touched on that once before. So we're going to start tonight, and we're going to talk about our surprise trip. That was the first one. So we started dating in 2015.
We did.
And I remember that because our meeting date, the date we met, was 12/13/14. That's the only way I can remember when I actually have known Samantha since.
It's a fun trick.
It works. So I know that in 2015 we started dating. And then in 2016, we took a surprise. It's my birthday trip.
It was Christmas break. We didn't have anything else to do, and he said he sent me a text, like, I think somewhat jokingly, saying if we ever wanted to go to Hawaii, he had somebody that we could stay with. And I said, don't tease me like that, because it was January and it was snowy outside, and I want to be a lizard on a warm rock
She's a lizard.
in the sunshine.
100% a lizard.
So I was like, don't joke like that. So just on a whim, I decided to look up flight tickets just to see what flights.
No, so
would be.
Jessica was my friend who was married to an Army guy that was stationed there at Schofield Barracks. And she had put on Facebook that there was like under $100 flights to Hawaii. And she had put something about like, all my friends who always say, yeah, we're going to come see you in Hawaii, now's the time. Right?
Yeah.
That's where we started.
I don't know about all that. I just know that you texted me and said, I have someone I could stay with.
Right. And so we found tickets. It's baby time. Sam's going to check on the young one. So yeah, we bought tickets and on a whim. I'm talking, I don't even know what day of the week it was. I have no idea. And it was Christmas break from school. We were both in school.
It's probably a 4-day turnaround.
It was. I feel like we left on a Friday and got back on like a Monday or something. It was 4-day trip.
No, I mean like You told me 4 days later we were on a plane going to Hawaii.
That's true. Yes, but the trip itself was also 4 days, if I remember correctly. 4 or 5. Maybe it was 5. So yeah, we just boarded a plane, flew over there. We landed in San Francisco on the way. Which, airport travel, you're not really seeing the city, but it's cool to know you've landed somewhere. And then we went to Hawaii. We landed on Oahu in Honolulu at the airport. And that's where we met our friends and went to the Schofield Barracks and kind of got settled in for the evening because I felt like it was kind of late that first day. Because it was a long flight.
It was a long flight.
I can't tell you how long. I don't know.
Flew into Houston at one point. I think that's the way home.
That was on the way home. Anyway, flew in and then we got to just start our adventure. So we went to North Shore because that's where everybody goes. And
Must.
saw the volcanic rock in the ocean. We did see a sea turtle there. That was my first time to ever see one in the wild. And it was awesome. I tried to swim out and touch it.
He said,
Even
I
though
don't think so.
Yeah, you're not supposed to touch them, I don't think. I don't know. I don't follow the rules sometimes. So, so I walked out, and I would have probably gotten closer, but I was within maybe 10 feet-ish, and I stepped on a piece of rock underneath, like volcanic rock, and it tripped me. I mean, it hurt, and I fell into the water, and it scared the sea turtle off. So we did get to see the sea turtle.
It's cool.
It wasn't surfing season. I mean, I guess it's probably always surfing season. I don't really know how that works, but it wasn't like the North Shore tournament or anything was going on. So it was pretty low key. There wasn't a lot going on, like a lot of traffic or anything. We did come back and we were riding with our friend and we saw a high speed chase. And we laughed about it because the high speed chase on an island that's the size of this little office. I mean, it's
Yeah. Where was he gonna go?
Yeah, I mean he ping ponged off like 6 cars. It was bad deal. And then he jumped out of his car and hid in a like think of a cornfield. Yeah, it was pretty dense. I think it wasn't corn, but it was some plant similar
I'm pretty sure it was coffee beans because it was right next to Green World, I think.
Yeah.
And then there was that Connex and that police officer was like standing there with his gun up.
Yeah. So this guy just like bails out of the car and goes in, and it probably wasn't, I don't know, 600 square feet. Nah, it's probably more than that. Probably like 1,800 square foot of shrubbery there that this person was hiding in. There was a cop every 8 feet in a circle. Like, well, I don't know what he was planning on doing. But anyway, so that was pretty funny.
Unexpected.
We did not go to Pearl Harbor, unfortunately. And I wanted to, but I don't think it was closed. Did they have it closed at the time?
We just kept thinking we would mentally be prepared for it each day, and then we just
never went.
Did other things.
So we did a lot of travel by Yelp. So the first night we ate sushi, and we could have a whole podcast on just food because we love food too.
Finding the hole in the walls of the amazing.
Yes,
like,
traveling
food.
by Yelp. So Yelp reviews on the cheapest possible thing, but like still good local reviews. That was good.
It was good.
So I have the yawns. I'm very sleepy tonight. So the next day we went to the Bellows Airfield, I think is what it's called. Bellows Air Base. So they have a beach. And that is where I gave my brand new Oakley sunglasses to the ocean. And Sam was mad at me because she told me, you're going to lose those.
Take your sunglasses off in the ocean.
And I was doing, what's the little belly surfboard?
Boogie boarding.
Boogie boarding, yeah.
Or bodyboarding.
And a wave ate me alive. And my glasses
crashed his soul a little bit.
Nowhere to be found. So I gave up some.
We say that he gave them to the sea turtle that he saw the day before. Right.
We did go up one of the mountains there, and I can never figure out what the name of it was. All I can remember, and some of you listening may know what we're talking about, but it was an old artillery area, like maybe World War II or something. I'm not really sure how old it was. So they had train tracks that went up there because they would use a cart and move the ammo up to the, I assume it was artillery, maybe a large cannon of some type. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, that's how they would get the ammo up this giant mountain. And now they don't use it for that anymore. So there's just a big platform up there. It's way above Honolulu, so you can look down and see the whole city. But when you're walking up, it's so steep. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. And we'll have pictures. So if you're on YouTube, you can probably see pictures. Sam's going to try to show you
I'm going to try.
It's not going to work. Yeah.
That's the top of it. You can't see any of it, but
anyway,
I tried.
We will get some pictures posted for you to see on the YouTubes. And maybe we'll make one like the cover photo or something for this episode. So we climb way up there. I don't know the height. It's really, really far. It probably took us
80 some stories according to like my iPhone, like how many steps we took. It was 80 some, like 88 stories.
And it's almost straight up. It's ridiculous.
It was intense. I didn't think I was going to make it. And then every step, when you get to the top, there's like a section that looks like you're about to reach to the top. And then you go 2 more steps and it's like, oh, just kidding. You have 2 more steps. And that happens like 3 or 4 times. You think you're almost done and it fakes you out. It's terrible.
So you literally just walk on the railroad ties all the way. There's no steps. I think a few places they'd put in some type of steps to keep people safe. But a lot of it, you're just walking on old railroad ties. So that was pretty awesome. I wish I could just... I can't remember the name of it. It had a name.
Cocoa Crater in Honolulu, 1,000+ railroad ties up and down.
There you go. Cocoa Crater. Now we know. I'll remember that for never.
For never.
So, awesome view. It was a great day to hike. It was
really nice.
It was just a wonderful place. So, we did end up doing some snorkeling. This is, like I said, in 4 or 5 days. So, we just went from one event to the next to the next. The snorkeling was cool, except as the tide went out, it was really kind of on rock. And so we snorkeled out, and we weren't even divers yet. We hadn't started scuba diving yet, because I didn't go to Kuwait for another
year.
Yeah, another year. So
or 6 months.
we snorkeled out, but I mean, like I don't really know if the tide was going out while we were there, or if it was just the waves. But the rock right there is right at the surface of the water. There might be 3 inches that you can just kind of slide over. And then it's, some crevices, whatever. So there's a lot of cool fish and stuff to see. But it was just kind of hard to snorkel. And I can't remember the name of that place either. But it was awesome. So a lot of stuff I can't remember the name to. Maybe I'll find it and put it in the show notes if you're reading show notes.
Amanu Bay or...
yeah, something like that.
Some Hawaiian name that we're going to butcher. Sorry. Apologies. But it was really cool. I got some really cool pictures just from my phone in a waterproof case thing. That was really neat. Of us snorkeling.
Yeah, so we got cool video, cool pictures. Probably my favorite part, though, was just the food. I remember we went to one place, and it was one of those Yelp finds, but they served you, it was like somebody's house. Like, you just walk into their kitchen, and they had it kind of set up as a restaurant-ish area. And you got rice, a piece of Spam, 2 eggs.
Is that the breakfast place? Yeah.
And that was $1.25 or $1.50.
Super cheap, but super good.
Cheap, yeah. And it was delicious. I mean, it was fried Spam and rice, and
I don't believe I had the Spam. Maybe I did.
I don't know. If you don't know, Spam is really big in Hawaii.
Very big in Hawaii. It's a thing.
Hawaiian McDonald's serves Spam sandwiches, and then they do flavored Spam and everything else. We also got to walk into a coffee farm, which was awesome because we were super big into coffee. And that, like, you're going in and looking at these trees that have coffee beans growing, or plants. I think they're trees. And so you could, like, pick some if you wanted, or whatever. I mean, you had to stay away from their... It was like if they were ripe, you could pick them if they were ready to be picked. And then inside they were roasting them, and then we bought some bags. I don't think that was the Kona coffee place.
I think that was Green World. Like, it was the same area as that car chase, I think.
Yeah.
But it was... back in the AeroPress days, before we had an espresso machine. AeroPressed everything. Still amazing.
AeroPress is awesome. It was our gateway drug.
Strength to press it down.
Yes. We also saw the Dole pineapple fields, which...
Those were cool.
I mean, if you've never seen a pineapple grow, Google it. Okay, because it's weird. It'll freak you out. So that's pretty much all of Hawaii. Like, it was, like I said, about 4 or 5 days, very fast-paced.
Beach hopping. Mostly.
Yeah.
Something I thought was really cool, and it's just because of I enjoy the warmth thing, was the schools didn't have Jessica, the girl we were staying with. We went with her to pick up her kiddo one day, and the schools didn't have glass or screens. Like, they had shutters, so if, it was raining or windy or whatever, they could block out the water, but there was no screens or anything. Like, they were just open, which in Oklahoma, that's not a thing.
They didn't have air conditioners.
Yeah, they didn't have air conditioning either.
Most, like, traditional housing didn't have air conditioning. I think the one that we stayed in did, because it was on an army base. But, yeah, the local schools and local housing
that was awesome.
Didn't have AC. We did go to the one private resort and swam in their little area. There was, like, a rope that kept the paying customers from the free loaders, whatever we are. But, I mean, it's the ocean. So we swam in the ocean a bunch.
It was really just an ocean beach trip because we were in college, so we spent all our money on the flight to get there and then just hung out at the beach.
Yeah, I want to say we spent $600 total or something.
Yeah, it was super cheap. Like,
luckily,
it was definitely under
the
$1,000,
food that
but-
we ate, we were on an army base. You could just go to the commissary and get whatever you wanted, and you just pay like average national price. You don't pay the local price because milk was very expensive, right? Is what we'd been told. If you went to buy milk on the economy, you'd be paying out the wazoo.
No, but we went to Waikiki that one night and ate out. That was pretty much our only expensive night.
Sushi in Hawaii. You'll never have anything like it ever after you've had it there. So our next big trip, we're going to try to kind of go through these kind of fast because there's a bunch and we don't want this. My father, who watches every YouTube video, and my stepmom, Heather. Stepmom, right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't mean any offense to anyone. I mix it because I have in-laws now and I always mix up the names. I try to talk about my stepdad, and I say my father-in-law. It's not the case. Anyway, yes, stepmom Heather and my father watch all these YouTube videos, so it's pretty fun for them to listen and laugh.
Keep it under 2 hours this time.
And then they told us to keep it under 2 hours. Apparently, an hour 50 is too close. Spring break 2016.
So a couple months later, we traveled a lot in 16.
We did, because I had a Harley. I had a crotch rocket early in life. I took it over a curb doing way too much speed, not the drug, like literally going too fast.
Pre my influence, probably.
Yes. My good buddy Jeff knows that story. I won't say too much about it on here. And then
Good choice.
I got a Harley because it was awesome. So Sam liked it. That's how I, entrapped her into this relationship. Took her on motorcycle rides. Anyway, so we decided to do spring break on a Harley. Now let me tell you, if you have a motorcycle and you plan on doing a spring break trip, you better stay south because it was cold.
It was solid. Like, we did really good. I was super excited because you never know what weather you're going to get around here in spring break. So we had that one night that it rained, but then by the time we were thinking about checking into the hotel, they were being annoying about parking the Harley. And so then we walked back outside and the rain had stopped. So we were like, forget it. Let's leave. But the ride home was very, very cold.
If you're watching this and you're seeing me yawn 100 times, I'm not really sorry. It's been a long week. So we started our spring break trip in Oklahoma City, where I was staying in
Blanchard.
Hi, Dave. Dave was my roommate. So we left there, and we went to... Did we even go to Ardmore? I feel like we went to Ardmore.
No, we went to Longview.
Well, I know we went to Longview. I can't remember if we stopped at it.
I don't think we
Anyway, so we went to Longview, Texas, and stayed with my brother and his family. And we stayed there that night, and then basically got up the next morning and drove off. So we just tried to... That night, it was dark. We rode until way dark. Mm-hmm. But after that... So anyway, most of the nights, because we were on a motorcycle, we tried to only ride when there was like some kind of light. But that didn't happen.
More than once.
Yeah, I think it was just one night we got stopped. Longview night was great. Stayed with family, saw everybody, got up and left the next morning, and we headed out. And so our plan was, if you can kind of picture this, if you're from our area, if not, get out a map.
A big loop.
But we were going to go from Blanchard to Longview to Memphis via Little Rock.
Shreveport was our plan, I think.
Oh, yeah, we did. We wanted to go to Shreveport, but it was flooded. Like, they were having bad thunderstorms and flooding. So we ended up going to Memphis, and then...
St. Louis.
St. Louis, that's right. St. Louis, then Kansas City, and then come back home. And we were stopping getting, like, poker chips, because I am a Harley guy. I like Harleys, but I don't have the money to buy a t-shirt at every single Harley stop. And so that was our deal. We want to stop at tap rooms and Harley shops along the way. And we did really good.
Yeah.
We stopped at...
It was good targets. Gave us somewhere to like go and stop and walk around a little bit and then hop back on.
Yeah.
Take off.
Exactly. Kind of stretch your legs. You're not going for too long. It was great. We stopped at the bar...
Little Rock.
Lost
40.
And it's still... I'm pretty sure it's still my favorite brewery.
The setup's awesome.
The beer's pretty good. Like, it's pretty good beer. But the way they have it set up where you can, like, look into their huge warehouse where they're brewing and doing all their canning and all that is just wonderful. And the food was good. So they did what do you call it, a gastropub or something?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
That's what they were calling it then. I don't know what they're calling it now.
Yeah, so it's, they have an actual kitchen, a working kitchen, plus a tap room. It was wonderful. And we went on to Memphis, and so Memphis was crazy because we did get in there
at
at
10 p.m.
10 p.m. And, you know, I've always heard Memphis is really bad. So I was a little freaked out because there was just people out walking the streets, and it was not exactly warm. So we found pizza. We found a pretty nice
That was
pizza
really
place.
good pizza, too, but we might have been really hungry.
Yeah, and then we found a hotel was like downtown Memphis. And we quickly went to sleep and got up the next morning, hauled butt. And they wouldn't even feed us breakfast. Like, that's something we didn't know when we scheduled the room or reserved that room, is like you had to be a certain, what's that word?
Status.
Yeah, you had to get a certain level of room to get breakfast for free, which was weird to me because I'd never seen that before. And so we just weren't high enough up in our whatever.
Not cool enough.
Yeah. So our room did not come with free breakfast. We literally walked down and there's a continental breakfast there, but we couldn't have any. It was very, very weird. And they had to try to explain it to me. And then we were going to eat, but it was like $15 a plate or something ridiculous. It was outlandish. It was
I forgot
crazy.
about that.
So we got back on the bike. We went to St. Louis. St. Louis is great. We stopped at 2 different Harley shops. One on the south side and one on like the north side of downtown. Somewhere up there. I don't think we saw the Arch. Or we at least didn't go to it.
I think it was closed or something. I don't remember why, but...
Probably storms too.
Maybe.
And so our intent was to stay halfway between St. Louis and Kansas City. Well, so originally we were going to make it to Kansas City, but it started getting pretty late, and then it started trying to rain on us. So we stopped at a place maybe an hour east of Kansas City.
Blue Springs, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right. And we stopped at a motel room. We went in and got a room. Like, I paid for it and everything.
Oh, no, that was before Blue Springs. Blue Springs, I think, is where we ended up staying.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
So we got a little bit further, and that was just outside of Kansas City.
That's right. So I don't remember where the first place was, but we stopped, got a room, but I went out to, like, lock up the bike, and I was going to leave it under the covered parking, like, I guess where you drop people off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was huge. It was like 3 cars wide.
And it was already like 11. Like, not that many people were going to be coming through there.
No. So we backed the motorcycle in, like, off to the side and covered, like, I was trying to cover it and lock it up. And they basically told us we couldn't do that. And I understand that they probably have a rule and it's, you know. But it was about to, like, pour rain and I didn't really want my seat getting drenched. And then we had to climb back on it in the morning. So, sure enough, I mean, it wasn't 30 minutes or an hour later, the rain went away and we just said never mind, and we refunded our room and got out of there. And I think you're right. We ended up staying in Blue Springs, which was where another Harley shop was.
There, yeah.
Yeah. So we hit it in the morning and bought gloves. So it started getting cold, and we don't ride, and I never did. I rode bikes from 2017. No.
Wrong way.
2009 to 2019. I guess 10 years.
18.
I think I went.
19.
Oh, yeah, because I traded the Harley in on the Chevy.
Yep.
So I think I went basically 10 years, and there was one 8-month period or something where I didn't have a motorcycle. I never once rode leathers. I did have like a leather jacket I wore at one point, but it was it was too small. And then, I mean, I wore a helmet most of the time if I was traveling. So it started getting cold about that time. And the first few nights it was very warm. We had like a hoodie. I had a Carhartt coat. Sam she did have a leather jacket. And we had our helmets.
Yeah.
But we didn't like have a lot of stuff to put. I mean, we packed in 2. So the bike I was riding was a 2012 Switchback, Harley Davidson Switchback, which, if y'all don't know, they call it the Chick Cruiser because it has bags, but it was small. It was on a Dyna frame, so it was basically a Dyna that was made to travel a little bit. And I put a rack on the back, so we had like a backpack and the 2 bags.
Bags. That's it.
And that's it, yeah.
For 5 days.
So we didn't take a ton of stuff with us. And it started getting cold. Oh, we didn't buy gloves there because they were like $100 for one set of leather gloves. But I didn't ride with like chaps or anything. No leathers. It was nothing. Anyway, started getting chilly. We went on into Kansas City that morning, and that's where we screwed up.
Yeah, we went to Head Rush, which was really good coffee, and we just kind of looked around. Oh, that's the day we went up to the Harley
Davidson thing.
Yep.
We went to the factory and took a tour. So we got to see like where they were made there in Kansas City, and that's where we learned.
Super cool.
Like a lot of business stuff on that side, the business side. They do Harley's super cool because they do rotating job. You don't show up and you're the painter all day long, or you're the engine assembler. You rotate. So for the first 2 hours of work, maybe you're assembling engines, and the next thing you know, you're doing wiring.
Which, as a PT student at the time, I appreciated, because I was like, man, how do they not get burnt out on this? And I think I actually asked, and that's when they told us that they rotate stations like every so often.
Yeah, so I think it's 4 stations a day, if I'm not mistaken. That's about 2.5 hours, and then some lunch or whatever. So, yeah, maybe it's every 2 hours. Anyway, so we did all that. We cut at 2 different coffee shops, and then we went to a bar, because I know we had some beers there. And we ended our day, I think it was at Headrush. Oh, we
started at Headrush, I think.
Then we went to Beer.
Oh, yeah.
The beer company. The German beer.
B-I-E-R.
B-I-E-R, right. German beer brewery. And that's where we finished the day. So we were kind of there, and we did get coffee one more time.
We stopped for coffee one more time. I don't remember the name of that place, but
moral of the story is we stayed way too long in Kansas City. So we had to get home that night, because I think we had class the next day.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. So we're
family obligations, I think is what it was.
Maybe. So we were driving home from Kansas City, down I-35, back to trying to get back to
Guthrie.
Well, we were trying to get back to Blanchard.
Oh yeah.
But the temperatures got down to, I think 23 is the lowest we saw it at one point.
I don't know. I stopped looking at the gas station.
So we had to stop
because I was freezing.
All right, so it got cold, and like I said, we didn't have anything to wear. Not enough to wear. We did have one pair of gloves that I was wearing that weren't thick enough for cold riding. And it got so stinking cold that we had to take every single exit to go in and warm up to make it to the next exit. And like I had to decide, are we going to drive 70 or whatever and be cold for the next
longer?
What is that, a 4-hour drive or something? Or do I drive 120 and get us home as fast as possible?
Whoops.
And so I chose to go fast.
Mom, plug your ears.
Right. So we'd be driving like 100 to 120 or whatever. Because it was just us on the interstate. There was nobody else out there.
It was dead. Like, it was crazy. It was so empty.
And so that's what we did. We drove fast. We took as many exits as we could. And then along that route, every truck stop had...
plummeting.
They'd have like a big map that showed the temperature in that area. And there were...
I truly stopped looking. Like, there would be a big map when you walked in. I don't know, like, I've never noticed these maps at gas stations before. And I don't really think I've seen them since, but this particular path, there were these maps with the weather on them, and I got to a point where I stopped looking because I was just like...
It was cold.
It's freaking cold. That's the temperature.
Yeah, my feet would be numb, my hands would be numb. Like, I was just driving.
I had it way better off than he did because I could kind of, like, tuck in behind him, at least get the wind off me.
So we survived that, and because we just went to Guthrie, Oklahoma, and stopped there because that's where her place was at the time. And then we just got up the next morning and did whatever it was we needed to do. It was terrible. But it was also very awesome, and it's a great story that we've kind of got to tell to our friends ever since. So
it's one of my favorite trips, actually.
Yeah. All right, so that was our spring break Harley ride. Big loop, got back, went back to school, and did our thing. I graduated that August in 16, and we were getting deployed to Kuwait with the Guard. So Sam came down and saw us. We had like a pre-mob thing or mobilization where we went to Fort Hood. And we were there, I feel like it was 30 days-ish, 45 days maybe. We'd done a little bit of time in-state as well. And so we got a 4-day leave, 3-day leave, something like that, toward the end of our training before we shipped overseas. And so Sam came down and we went to Austin. She came and picked me up from Fort Hood, or North Fort Hood. And then we drove down to Austin and spent the weekend. And my stepdad, Heath, he came down. And my brother as well, right? Yeah, my brother.
We made him drink bougie coffee.
That's right.
He hated it.
He actually brought our Harleys, so we got to ride the Harley there too. Right, so we got to go to Lukenbach, which if you've ever been is awesome. It's a great trip. So we got to take a bunch of pictures and listen to the song sang 500 times in 2 hours or whatever. Drink some whiskey, drink some beer. We stopped at a distillery on the way home or back to Austin. But it was really cool. We had those breakfast burritos.
Oh, God.
My brother was there the first 2 days, and then I think Heath showed up the last day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he came out with us on Congress.
Yeah.
Which is like
6th Street.
Big 6th Street.
Yeah, we went and partied on 6th Street in Austin. So Austin altogether, I liked it. It's obviously very progressive, liberal, blue. I don't know. It was fun.
It's a fun place.
Right, it's artsy-fartsy.
We don't have to label it.
Yeah, I like it. But we had some sweet breakfast burritos at this weird
Like
little
these
thing.
burritos are so good. There are times when I think about just waking up Saturday morning and driving down to Austin to get freaking breakfast burritos from this random food truck beside this convenience store. Like it was one of those super sketch looking places, and then you eat it and you're like, oh yes. It's also the first place I had horchata. So it's like ingrained in my soul to love this place.
Now we make our own horchata from time
We
to
do.
time.
It's fun.
But my brother was not a espresso drinker, so we got him on the bouginess, right? And that was fun. We just made him order, I don't know,
Cortadas.
cortadas and then lattes. Cause, yeah, he was not into it then. But then he got into it later. And craft beer. He drinks craft beer some now. So we're good influences. So let's see. We talked about 6th Street and we talked about Lukenbach.
Yeah.
So Austin kind of went pretty
Dancing
fast.
was fun.
Yeah, and then there was remember that one wall that was like all spray painted and they said it gets changed?
Yeah.
I don't know
have
what
a
that's
picture of it
called.
up, ready to upload for this.
There's some park of some kind.
Graffiti park?
Park. And people just go in and replace
like-
stuff. And if it's really good, it stays longer because people don't want to cover it up. And then eventually someone does anyway. But there's no permanence there.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
So that was Austin. Austin was like a blur because we were just traveling. I mean, it was great.
But it was better than him having to ride a bus or drive up, spend a day traveling.
Right, 'cause they don't
as soon
really
as they were released. I was there, ready to go.
Yes.
So
the Army will pay for you to get home on your leave, but it's only on the bus that they provide, and then they ship you back up, and then you have to meet that same bus. And it's, I don't know.
it would have been like 24 hours instead of 4 days or something.
Yeah.
It took a lot of time away.
I think the bus I would have to been on, I feel like it was a 12-hour ride or something, maybe
Yeah,
longer.
it was long. It took up a whole day and then another day to get back.
Right, 'cause you had to meet early to get back. So I didn't want to do that, so she came down. We went and saw Austin. When I got home the next year, that was like, so we deployed in like September,
It was August of 17.
August of 17. And
Had a couple of lake weekends.
have been, oh yeah, because we immediately went to the chalets. That's right.
No, we went to Broken Bow first. All your
Oh, yeah,
family
with
was supposed to
Cody
be
and
there.
Lindy
They
and-
bailed on us.
Yeah, no one else showed up.
And then
Thanks, family.
jerks.
So we scheduled I forgot all about that. We did go to Broken Bow Lake or Broken Bow Beaver.
Yeah,
What's the name of the lake? It's not Beaver.
No, it's not Beaver.
Whatever y'all's lake is called down there. I think it's Broken Bow Lake. We rented two cabins, I think, and to have all the family down, and then everyone did bill at the last. So we had some friends over, and that was great. Cody and Lindy were there, and then did Allison and Mark come?
No,
Your parents came?
and my sister and her family.
That's right. And so we basically got to hit up the brewery there, which was pretty new at the time, I think.
Yeah.
And
His first place had ginger beer, and it was so good.
yeah, that other bar. So Broken Bow, it was great. It once again was like a 2-day thing. It wasn't very long.
No.
And then we went to the chalets. We'll talk about the chalets in a little bit because that's all on Table Rock, which is where we go quite a bit. But that fall, we decided to go to Boston. So Sam kind of like made these plans. It was awesome. So what happened is
Welcome home. We're leaving again.
right. So we flew into Boston on a Thursday night or something and flew out on a Sunday night. It was another...
No, that one we were there for like 7 days because I thought we were going to be able to stay for the playoffs. So it was another extra 2 days than what I had originally planned for.
That's right. It was I think it was 6 days.
So
we caught the last
game.
two the last two games of the Red Sox season. They were both home against Houston. There at Fenway. So if you haven't been to Fenway, it has to be on your bucket list. It is awesome. But we bought the game the day after we flew in, right? We had tickets.
Yes.
And then we also bought...
That day we got there early enough that we were able to get some.
We went and scalped tickets, I guess. We got them off the street, whatever. It was great.
Someone had tickets for sale. We bought them.
Right. So whatever day we flew in, we didn't expect to be able to get there by game time, so we didn't buy those tickets online. The next day we did, and we got them. We sat, I want to say it was like 12 rows off of first base, and it was awesome. That was a great place to sit. But we paid, I don't know, like $200, $300 for tickets.
I don't remember the prices of any of these things.
I didn't tell her the price of anything, so she's learning as we go. I want to say it was $300 in that day. Well, we flew in, and our Uber or whatever got us to our Airbnb on time, and so it was walking distance.
Yeah.
I think we took the train for ease, but
Yeah.
or I
We
guess,
walked back though, I think.
yeah. So we went to the park and we were able to get tickets on the sidewalk, and go into the game, and we paid. I don't know. It didn't seem like it was very much. It was probably like $120. No, how did that work?
I do not remember because you have to remember I slept everywhere that we sat for
So
more than 5 minutes.
Sam was pregnant with
10 weeks.
with Beckett, right? So she couldn't drink. She couldn't do any of the fun stuff. Anyway, we got to go to several games there.
I had
but
plenty of fun. He says it like alcohol's the only fun thing.
I
just slept a lot.
I think the first game is when we were off of first base. The second game, we were 3 rows off at a home plate.
Oh, it's the second game was cheaper because they clinched in the first game that we went to.
Yeah. So the first game we went to, they clinched the playoffs, and so the second game was all the scrubs. I say scrubs. they're on a 40-man roster for the Red Sox. I think they've got it made, but it was the non-starters playing, right? So it was all the backups, and which was still great because we sat, like I said, I think we were 3 rows behind home plate. I mean, every ball looked like it was coming directly at our face. So that was awesome.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we didn't. There's not a bad seat in the stadium. So if you're gonna go, buy the cheapest ticket you can get because every seat is like
worthwhile.
Yes, they're all right on top of the freaking field. It's ridiculous. I'd love to go back and do the Green Monster. We did get to do a tour of the stadium a little bit. We got to go up on the Green Monster and then some of the shops and stuff in the back. That was part of the ticket packet we bought.
Flash that military ID. I think is what got us those.
Was it? I thought it was part of that the packet we bought. But anyway, the surprise story, or the surprise to us, was that we'd also bought tickets to the first round of the playoffs because I hadn't kept up with the season enough because we just got back off of deployment. I wasn't really watching baseball that much. And StubHub, I believe is who we used, had the tickets on sale for Red Sox first round started at Fenway. So I bought 2 tickets because we were going to catch both games. No, one ticket. 2 tickets first game. And it turns out that the first round, actually the first 2 games were in Houston. And then they were going to come back to Fenway. And we couldn't stay that long. And so we ended up eating these tickets. And I paid like
way too
$250. Yeah, it was like $580 for 2 tickets or something. It was stupid.
Which now doesn't sound like a lot, like
but
at this
time,
moment.
we were
but
broke.
at the time, we were broke. I just started as a PT, and not even the fact of being broke, but the like now ticket prices have gone up so much. I feel like in the last few years.
Yeah.
Despite not having things to go to.
So I tried to sell those same tickets on StubHub, and they could not sell. And I don't really know. I guess it's just because they were in Houston. I don't know. It was weird. But they didn't ever sell. So we just had tickets to a game we were many miles away from. And we just had to fly home and eat that price. So that stunk.
It did stink. It smelled horrible.
But while we were there, we did do other stuff. We did a whale watching thing, which was pretty awesome. So we got on a boat. I don't remember the name of it. What company?
Yeah, we ended up seeing
were they gray
humpback
whales?
whales.
Humpbacks.
And then on the way back in, because they were all excited because they were putting on a pretty good show. Like they were doing their fin slaps and all sorts of stuff. And they said it's somewhat unusual to actually see that much activity. So that was cool. Maybe they told us that to make us feel good. I don't know. But then on the way back, we went through a pod of dolphins. So that was really cool too.
Yeah.
So we got to see quite a bit of activity on our whale watching.
And that was fun dealing with the motion sickness because I didn't have any. Sam was afraid she was going to, so we bought these cool bracelets that like applied
I still
pressure.
have them. They're in my drawer.
Yeah. Neither of us got sick. It was very, very easy.
It was nice.
We also did the Freedom Trail. If you've never been to Boston, that's like it takes you to Paul Revere's house and the church.
You can ride a bus, but man, it's so worth walking just to like experience the city as well as the history of it.
Right.
So if you're able to walk it, like just walk it. It's awesome.
We went into the church that I'm sure has a North Church.
North Church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they hung the lanterns.
Paul Revere's house, I think, too.
Yeah. So we got to do that whole thing, and it was awesome. We didn't go like to Colcord and all that stuff. We just... That's why I call it Colcord. There's a little town here south of us called Colcord. It's spelled exactly the same, but you have to put a hick accent on it, apparently. Anyways, we didn't go that far. We stayed in Boston, but we did do a lot of the tour. We also went to the Bell in Hand Tavern, which is known as the first tavern in the United States.
It was super cool.
So it's the oldest tavern.
Even if I couldn't drink a beer there.
Or maybe it's the oldest working one. I'm sure other ones have closed down or whatever. But I also drank, what was the beer?
Yingling?
A Yingling, which is known as the oldest brewery in the United States.
My dad calls it Dingling beer.
Dingling beer. Bring on Dingling beers. Thank you, Rich. Anyway, so I had the oldest beer in the oldest tavern. It was kind of cool. Like, it's just...
It is super awesome. It's one
you...
of those, like, okay, I wish I could have a beer, which I guess I could have had a drink, but...
Probably.
Nah.
We did find out that we love comedy. When we went to that...
It was a lot of fun.
What's that thing called? An improv
Show.
Yes.
We went like 3 nights in a row.
3 nights in a row, right. And they had a sweet pumpkin
And we
beer.
were going to go for another night, but they had something different going on that night, or we didn't get back to it in time. I don't know. But we found this one little sweet spot in Little Italy, and it, like, 3 nights in a row. Like, we were in Boston, and we still went to this place 3 nights in a row because we just loved it. We had so much fun.
Yes.
The guy was super cool because he was getting those pumpkin beers that he mentioned, and I was like, I'm thirsty too. And he just kept making me, like, random mocktails. He was super
cool.
nice.
What else did we do? So, kind of a bad part of the trip was that we stayed at this Airbnb. So we started traveling with Airbnb because it was better than a motel. Save a lot of money. I think we paid $300 to stay there for all 6 days or something. It was very, very good for both of us.
Very reasonable.
But the first place was, it was like basically an apartment
House?
Yeah, so it was 3 or 4 story house downtown not downtown Boston, but basically
it was a high end. I can't remember what that district was called, but it was like
it's where where Fenway is.
Yeah, I didn't know when I booked it, but it was like a fancy schmancy part of Boston.
Yeah.
Because the hotel that was down the corner from the house was like $300 a night, I think, if not more.
And so the way it worked was there would be like bedrooms on every floor, like 3 or 4 of them, and then 1 bathroom. I think it was 3 bedrooms and a bathroom. Basically built into like a square.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was basically built into a square, and then each corner was a bedroom, and then the 4th corner was a common bathroom for that floor. So by night number 2, I think, we noticed that we were getting super sick, like had bad sinus issues, just weren't feeling very good. And we started seeing some weird red fungus growing in the shower in the bathroom. Which I'm sure is probably very common in Boston. I don't know. You know, it's on the ocean. It's very humid there. And it was very humid while we were there.
And it was in the vents, too.
Yeah.
That's
and so we basically just got our refund for what nights we hadn't stayed. And that pushed us up to Revere Beach, which was awesome, in Revere, Massachusetts.
Yeah, it was awesome to be right on the beach.
Yes. So that was the second place we got sand. We didn't talk about sand earlier.
We didn't talk about
We'll talk about sand in a minute. So that's the second jar of sand we collected, and that's all we've gotten so far because we haven't been to another ocean. But, so we did another Airbnb there. It was very wonderful. The lady was very nice, and it was like an apartment over garage.
And the people were nice that we bailed on, too. Like, I was worried they were going to put up a fight, but I was like, I literally feel like crap. Can you please just refund us the rest of it? And they did. They didn't even question it, really. If
you don't use public transit because you're from Oklahoma or whatever, the public transit in Boston was awesome. I think it was $32 and you could get a train ticket for the month. And so, and that took us everywhere. I mean, there's a stop right by Fenway. It goes downtown, which we went down there to eat and stuff. You could even use that same ticket and get on subways and buses to get you wherever you wanted to go. Well, luckily the subway ran up to, I think it was the next to last stop.
Yeah.
Revere Beach was. It was way up there on the subway. How did we get to Salem?
We took an Uber. It's like a 30-minute Uber ride or something.
That's right.
That I slept in.
So yeah, the train didn't go all the way to Salem, but it went way up there. Anyway, public transit's pretty cool when you live in a place big enough for it.
Which on my flight this weekend, I overheard someone talking to, I think he was a physicist, and then the person that he was talking to, they're doing some kind of non-profit venture thing where they're trying to bring public transit to more cities in America. So it was interesting to overhear that. I think they have one in Houston that they're working on, and the next one's LA to Vegas. I might be letting you on some kind of insider information that is top secret, but they were talking about it on a plane, so my bad.
So we did end up going to Salem, which was cool. That's where like the Salem witch trials were and all that. And Samantha's a big
and it was in October.
Fan of Samantha the Witch. Because look at her do her nose. Look at it, YouTube. So we went there, and that's where we learned that like they pressed people to death. Did you know that?
That was weird.
Pressing people. They put something on top of you and something under you, and they stack rocks on you until it smashes you to death.
Like a bug. They
'Cause
smush you like a bug.
It's torture to get you to admit to being a witch.
So it can continue to smash you like a bug.
Wild. Absolutely wild.
People are
We didn't pay to
crazy.
go in any of the crazy houses there because
just
there was
walked
enough
around.
crazy just walking around. It's like Halloween all the time there. Plus, like she said, it was like late October, so it was getting pretty close to Halloween. What else did we do over there? Oh, food.
Food
So
was amazing.
we had
Clam chowder.
the clam chowder is the best you'll ever eat anywhere on earth.
Speaking of chowder, though, I was really disappointed by the lack of Boston accents that we ran into.
I feel like we had enough.
We ended up sitting in this area that had picnic tables and food trucks and stuff, and we sat down at the end of, like, shared a picnic table, and the people heard us talking.
Shirts match.
Your shirts do match. The people were from Tulsa, so they lived in Boston, like, they were businessmen, but they were from Tulsa. I was like, what are the chances out of this whole big city we just sit down at this table with these people from the same place that we came from?
Not only that, but we randomly ran into two of my college friends from Ada, Oklahoma. So Reba Sliger and Sydney. I think I saw them on Snapchat or
Something.
Facebook or something at the time, and they said they were in Boston of all places. So from Ada, Oklahoma, we ran into two people. I mean, we were in Boston, and it was two people I went to college with in Ada that were just completely random. And so we did go out to a club with them one night. Look, I wasn't even that old at the time, and I was already too old to be there. Like, I'm just not a club, big city kind of person. It was buck wild. I mean, loud. That's the biggest thing I remember about it, is it just being so loud. And so many people on that little dance floor.
Oh, yeah.
And it was what? It was
packed.
2 stories, right?
It was. 'Cause
And the
upstairs
lower
was-
story, you were trying to get upstairs. That was the big party scene.
Yeah. But once you got
Ugh.
up there, you couldn't move, so it was just awkward.
Yeah. Anyway. Hi, Reba. Hi, Sydney. We're glad we ran in y'all in Boston.
It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
You guys kept me awake, which was hard to do at that time.
So that pretty much summed up our Boston trip.
I did put... He already knew,
Oh, yeah.
sadly. But just for
A picture.
picture and making it fun, we did announce that we were pregnant. Like, I put it up on the screen at Fenway so he can say his name's been on the screen at Fenway.
That's right. So it said, like, congratulations.
Staff Sergeant Chamberlain, you're having a baby.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, like she said, I already knew, so it wasn't like, holy cow, we're having a baby and we're in Boston, but
It was
still
really
cool
hard
to
to
have
keep
it
a
on the
secret.
picture. Right. It's not something you keep a secret anyway, so it was good. Our next big trip was Nashville. It was a pretty quick weekend, and it was very filled with work stuff. So
Yeah, it's like a conference for me, but we had some free time. So
we drove all the way there.
did drive there with a 1-year-old, almost one.
Yeah.
It's right before his first birthday.
Yep. And
He was a blast there too. He did
did he
great.
turn one there or on the way
No.
home? Oh, because
No,
we stopped.
It was at the end. That was at like the week before, and then the next week we went to Big Cedar to celebrate his birthday.
So we saw Nashville Zoo, which is awesome. We went
lot of
downtown
fun.
there as well. Went to Blake Shelton's
Red. We had like an insider like group thing planned there, and it was a songwriters showcase type thing, and it was so good.
Yeah, so it's like basically very, very famous songs you've heard on the radio 1,000 times, but sung by the person who wrote it instead of by the person they hired to sing it. And I like it more. I could
Yeah, it
just
was
sit and listen
wonderful.
to acoustic guitar, no matter who's singing anyway. But then,
And the stories behind them, and just like the chat style acoustic guitar playing, like it was really awesome.
so Nashville's pretty cool. They had the draft there that year, if I'm not mistaken. So that was May of 19. Did they have the 2019 draft? I feel like they did. Anyway, big NFL town, obviously. And then our cruise. So our cruise we can talk too much in depth about. We'll probably have to make an episode about cruises in general. But that one was fun. We've told y'all before about the places we went. We went to Cozumel. We went to Grand Cayman. We went to Ochos Rios. The biggest thing for this episode is it was just culture shock, right? I mean, it's really cool to go other places and just see how things work. Unfortunately, when you do it via cruise, you end up with the tourist side of things.
Yeah. We like walked off. Was it Cozumel that we were able to walk? Like we walked a further ways to go to that specific scuba place.
That was Grand Cayman.
That was Grand Cayman.
Yeah, so Grand Cayman.
No, because you scuba dived at Grand Cayman.
Oh yeah, you're right. It was Cozumel. Yep. We like left the little onshore resort, and you're right. And we walked up the street, maybe 2 miles or something.
Yeah, it was a pretty long hike. Like,
Yeah,
we were
walked
moving.
it. Once again, my brother went, his wife at the time, all their kids, and then we took Beckett. And man, it was a lot of fun. That was when we got my brother to scuba dive, and my niece went.
They did awesome.
Yeah, everybody went scuba diving.
So for me, part of what was crazy about the cruise, just to like perspective here, is 2 things happened. The day we are getting on the cruise, Beckett, we thought was maybe teething and had a low-grade fever. Like, he didn't act sick or anything, so we're like, crap. They had just started scanning people for fevers. Like, that started to become the norm. Like,
this is March of 2020.
That week. We'd heard about COVID. It was still like New York, LA type thing. It wasn't widespread. It wasn't well known. Like, didn't really know what was going on with it. We get on this cruise, and then his fever spikes like that same night to 103. Like, it was up there. And that was with giving him Tylenol. So we were like, holy crap. So we were like speed walking, almost sprinting to the doctor's quarters to be like, what is wrong with our kid? So they were like playing it low key. The doctor didn't seem too upset, but then the captain came down there.
Yeah, the captain of the ship came.
And we were in like a separate room, just making sure that I'd asked to have him tested for the flu just to make sure that we weren't about to have like all of us sick or something. And I heard the captain talking to the doctor, and she didn't think it was ever COVID, but you could tell that the captain had some concerns, like in his voice. He was definitely trying to get a handle on the situation. Like, what are we going to do if this kid is showing symptoms of COVID? It ended up being like Fifth's disease or something stupid, but like he got over it. Him and I hung out in the cabin that Monday. I think that was on a Sunday, and then that Monday, him and I just kind of laid around and we chilled. And after that, he was fine. He acted a little lethargic that morning and day, but we just chilled and played in the room, and then got him some sunshine, and the waves and sunshine cured all that ailed him. So
that's right. The sea
saved him.
Will cure you. Yeah. You have to understand that the timeline here was, like she said, COVID wasn't all across our nation yet. I don't think it was even in Oklahoma yet, probably.
I think as we were boarding, my parents or sister sent me a text that was like, someone in Tulsa might have COVID, and then that was the last I heard about
first case.
Yeah.
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah, somebody had flown in from New York or Pennsylvania or something.
Yeah.
But when we got back, that's like they had shut down a whole Carnival cruise ship off the coast of somewhere, some country. And that's the one that I had to sit out there for like 3 weeks, whatever. They have to take them food and all this stuff. And like, it was just you'll remember at that time, like it was a very big, controversial thing. Like, can you leave people on a boat knowing they're going to get sick with this deadly disease? And then, or are you supposed to get them off and give them a chance to escape it? Like, it was just that weird. Like, they basically quarantined a whole group of people with other people who were sick.
And we still don't know all what was going on because, internet and everything's kind of hit or miss on, like, whether you pay for it or not type thing.
Yeah.
And I remember Wednesday, I think, is when they shut the NBA down. And I'm like, if they're stopping complete sports teams from playing, then there's some sort of big deal going on, because that's millions, if not billions of dollars being lost on not playing these sports. So it's like, what is going on? So you're trying to enjoy this trip that you're on while also not knowing, one, if you're going to be able to stop at any of your stops, two, if you're going to be able to get off the ship, and three, what are you coming home to? Like, what? Like, there's a lot going on.
Luckily, none of our stops were affected. We got to go everywhere and do everything with no repercussions. I mean,
it was good.
We had no COVID cases. We came home and the boat didn't go back out. So there was people lined up to get on the boat.
It lined up with Texas spring break. So most people, I feel like, were like local as far as like from Texas, as opposed to your typical cruise. That's probably a lot more diverse as far as origin of where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But
I think they said, they called us, said like 9 people had tested with COVID within a week or two or something of getting home. So, I mean, we were safe. Anyway.
They did a great job keeping the ship clean. Like, I never felt like the ship was dirty, and I don't know if that was their normal protocols or if that was their ramped up. Like, we know there's an illness going around. We're going to clean every 5 seconds, but it was great.
So, Grand Cayman was awesome. Very beautiful. And we'll talk about that a lot more in our scuba diving episode, because I think I've already told y'all before that we got to scuba dive down to Kitty Hawk or Kitty Wake. Kitty Wake. Ochos Rios was cool. It was very touristy heavy.
Yeah, that one we didn't get to really explore the way we normally like to travel. It was like we got on a bus. They took us to a beach. They had drinks and food there at the beach. We stayed there till X amount of time. They called your cruise. You got on the bus. You came back to the cruise ship. Like there wasn't much exploring, and that was like they recommended that you not do things. And of course, with a 2-year-old, we're not gonna go against those recommendations. But
yeah, so it was like free. Wasn't it free drinks? I think it was free drinks.
Yeah,
like rum or
there's some other drink they had.
Mojitos. And then you could swim in the ocean. So it was cool. I mean, we got a lot of video and pictures and stuff from that as well. Using a waterproof. We got a GoPro for that one. Still laying around here somewhere. Yeah, the kids had a blast. We were with all of our nieces and nephews, so it was great. And not all of them, but 3 of them. The cruise itself was cool. Like, I love the dinner. The dinner on a cruise is awesome because you go to like a formal dining thing, right? And you sit at a big table with your whole group. And then it's like all you can eat. I mean, they just keep bringing food.
And it's like true courses. Like, it's not like here's all your food at once. It's like how you expect a multi-course dinner to be.
Right. A very formal dining situation. So it was cool. So if you haven't ever done a cruise, schedule one. I don't know what I assume they're running.
Going, yeah.
Yeah, I assume they're
going. We keep getting enough flyers from them that I'm assuming they're going.
Carnival was great. Once again, we did a whole podcast on like things to do or not to do with Carnival Cruise. Maybe my brother will do that one too, because he's been on like 7 of them now. So what insurance do you buy, and when do you buy stuff, and do you buy the drink package or the internet package? All that he can help us with. So we'll do an episode on that.
I will say though, if you have a less than 2-year-old, he wasn't quite 2 yet. It's a little more challenging just from he loves water and the splash pads and the pools and everything, and we were letting him play in the pool in a little swimmer because, of course, having some sort of diaper is better than not having some sort of diaper. And we were told, like, we were kicked out of the pool. So then we took him to a splash pad and just, luckily he's a small tyke anyway, so it didn't look like he had a little swimmer on. And they asked something about it, and I was like, no, he's good. Like, they almost formulated it into, like, does he need diapers? And I was like, no, he's good. Like, he's covered. So I didn't really lie, but I knew what they were getting at, so maybe I did. But he was having a blast, and he wasn't.
The thing is, you have to be potty trained.
Yeah.
You have to be potty trained to be in the pool, which is great unless your kid's not potty trained.
But I feel like even 2 and 3-year-olds in the pool, they get so excited playing. I would rather them be in a like some kind of protection as opposed to not, because
they said
get excited.
No little swimmers, right? And
yeah.
I don't know if it was a chemical thing, like trying to keep. Obviously, you don't want fecal matter in the stinking pool of a kid. Everyone out there's peeing in the water. Let's not kid ourselves. There's free drinks everywhere, and that's happening. Okay, the old Ron White bit. We've been swimming for 5 hours. Not one person had to pee.
Right.
So obviously people are peeing in there no matter what. And the chemicals are going to take care of that. You don't want the number 2. That's bad. But they would not let the diaper in. Seemed to be the big deal.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't go on a cruise if you plan to swim with an potty trained kid. Dinner was great. The art for sale was awesome.
We had a lot of fun at the auctions. Even just like the cheap
auctions.
poster
Yeah,
ones
you
were
buy
fun.
you get to like auction on a $6 thing. And I mean, they're hung up all over our house. I think we ended up with about 10 or so. Yeah. And they're none of these. These are all these came out of a museum. But yeah, anyway. It was pretty cool. It's a good experience. You should do it. We'll have a podcast over the cruise, and I'll try to get my brother on. Branson is the place we go all the time. So this is the last one we're going to cover about our history, like our past experiences, and then we'll go into some future stuff and just kind of talk about it. But Branson is where we go basically once a year with our family, with her family, my in-laws, and well, they're my in-law, my sister-in-law. I was going to say, and my sister-in-law, but that is an in-law.
It is.
Anyway, so we'd like to go to Big Cedar. We haven't got to go recently just because they increased the prices so darn much.
Yeah, last year they like tripled it. It wasn't a small increase. It wasn't like just $100. It was a triple what their normal rates were, and it's been insane. So we're trying to find a different place.
Yeah.
But in general, just going to Table Rock, we've stayed a couple of different places around there.
Yeah.
And it's just a really nice.
So Big Cedar's a lot of fun. I mean, it really is, because you've got it's not all inclusive, but there's stuff there for everything. So there's
you
an
don't have to, like,
arcade,
leave
there's a
the area.
go-kart, there's
You can horse ride. We haven't done that, but you can horse ride, and they have a like shooting lane, and they have other stuff that you can do as well.
right. The restaurants are great. The cabins are beautiful. They've got, an infinity pool you can go swim in. So a lot of things that you can do there. Big Cedar is awesome, but like she said, the cost went up so much. It's not really doable right now. Hopefully they come to their senses. And I don't know if it was like they needed to make up money because of COVID, or if it
Or if they're just trying to get their elites or whatever. Like, I don't know.
I don't know. It was
if they're
very
just trying
weird.
to cater to a different group than what we're at.
Apparently, like, a lot of big shots go there. So there may be famous people there at any time. Who is it? Jack Nicklaus? Is he the one that they have?
Jack Nichols. Nichols. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if it's the golfer or the actor, but one of them. One of those Jacks. Like, has their own cabin there, right? And then, I mean, obviously they're all named after people. But
Yeah.
like some of the big people have their own house there or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a really cool place. Go check it out if you ever get the chance. Just understand it's expensive. We won a free trip when I came home from Kuwait. So we were going to talk about that. I came home and we had actually
There's like
won.
a Facebook giveaway, and
Yes.
I put in for it because I was like, that'd be cool.
I think she actually just tagged me and said, "Wouldn't this be cool for a welcome home?"
Yeah.
And then they picked her. So thank you, Chalets on Table Rock. Here's your free press. So it's the Chalets on Table Rock, and it's around, what did you say it was called?
Shell knob?
Shell Knob. The chalets are awesome, but the problem is it sleeps 18 people. It's like a
huge.
3-story
They have other ones too, though.
mansion. I just saw the big ones, and these cabins. I think there were 6 of them or something lined up.
Yeah.
Massive, absolutely.
They have
massive.
those off to the other side too that are smaller.
Oh, okay. So I mean, every floor has different sized bedrooms, and then different amount of beds in each bedroom. There's a huge common area where there's
pool
like
table
a
and
fireplace,
some
and
stuff.
you could sit 20 people or whatever.
We hooked our hammocks up.
Yep, a screened-in back porch, and then access to the lake. And so we went out and went fishing.
We did.
And that's a pretty funny story because we went out.
Early dawn, like.
So we always try to hit power hour top water. So we went out and we were fishing, and then a storm blew in. Was that morning or that evening?
I think that was that morning because we had been out on the water for a little while and it had been somewhat sunny. I mean, it was cloudy, but it wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
And then we look behind us and it's just like this dark mass coming in on us out of nowhere.
And not only that, but it starts pushing, like the wind picks up. It starts pushing us in our canoe across the lake, and we can't paddle. We almost couldn't paddle fast enough to get back.
It was funny.
That was pretty wild. Sam also did a pretty cool thing fishing. So we were catching some topwater. So obviously we're using floating topwater lures. And Sam hooked
Not my own skill.
She hooked a fish.
It stole it.
It jumped and the line broke. And so the fish disappears. And I was like, well, it's a floating lure, so maybe this fish will come back with this, like maybe it'll float to the top. Well, it didn't. However, the fish did jump back out of the water, I don't know, maybe like 10 minutes later.
Yeah, it was a while.
And kind of did a little jump, and then the lure popped out. So we got our lure
We
back.
heard it.
Yeah.
Like, what's that?
And there was our lure floating. Like, we heard the fish jump and shake, and we got our little lure back. So that was pretty cool. We caught a couple fish. It was nice. And then the storm blew in, and we had to hurry up and get back.
That was a fun day.
Yeah. So chalets are awesome. Big Cedar's awesome, but expensive right now. Table Rock is beautiful. We did scuba there.
That was our first.
I was certified there, and Sam wasn't yet. And I tried to take her down, and she freaked out. And then I didn't have lights, and so you got they had flooded real bad, so the lake was kind of dirty. So I could go down like 12 feet, and then it was pitch black. It was not fun without
To be
lights.
fair, my freak out was, I think, a pretty typical first time scuba diver. I tried to breathe through my nose, and my mask sucked to my nose, and then I couldn't think that I could just breathe through my mouth because you want to gasp, right? And then, but if you do that, then you're gonna suck in a lot of water. So I tried to push myself back up and about killed him too. But we were only probably 3 feet underwater. It wasn't. We weren't that deep yet. But we tried again, and it was fine. I did eventually succeed.
She did.
A little
Now
bit.
she's certified. All right, so that's pretty much it. I mean, we've traveled, here and there since then.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the military, I've gone all over Montana and Washington, and Sam's now traveling for work, so our travels are getting bigger.
Wisconsin, Portland,
Yep, Iowa. So our traveling
North
is
Dakota.
never ending, and we love it.
our life space is expanding, and we'll talk about what that is one of these days too. Get real nerdy on here with my PT nonsense.
So if you remember from last week, I was talking with Brian on our hunting episode, and we are talking about the RV we were supposed to get, or the travel trailer, and we did end up getting it this week.
Yippee!
We officially went and got it Monday. So Monday we picked it up. So now we own this beautiful Grand Design Imagine 23 BHE. So it's a bunkhouse. It's like the living space is about 24 feet. I think it's 27 feet trailer. It's XLS, so I can pull it with, we have a half-ton Chevrolet. I can pull it with that. It's nice. I got to get some different rear gears because Chevy puts 323 so they could meet that 20 mile an hour per gallon BS. This still didn't happen, but you can't pull anything with 323. So I'll be swapping those out in the next few months, probably, getting something bigger. Anyway, something better to pull with. And really, since I lifted my truck 2 years ago, been 2 years? Yeah, this month. It's not acted right since. The gears just weren't right for the 35-inch tires on a lift kit. So it needs it anyway. So now I can just add a little bit extra beef and pull this trailer with ease. So we have a lot of plans for that. Like this weekend, for instance. So by the time this thing comes out, Friday morning, it'll be packed and ready to go. And we're actually going to Oklahoma City for a military weekend. I got drill this weekend, but we get to go to a powwow and do some other stuff, some Native American things, which is going to be awesome. We'll talk about that as well. It's going to be super awesome.
Yeah, that'll probably be next week's episode, yes. I'd imagine.
Somewhere like that. But, so we're going to stay in the camper this weekend. One, it's a short pull. I mean, it's a 3-hour drive, but that's pretty short for a travel trailer. So we can kind of fill out what's our fuel mileage going to be.
Test run.
It's kind of, a good test run. What are we missing? And we can still just run to Walmart and grab it if we absolutely had to have it. Yeah. Or do we have that at home? So it's a good test run. Anyway, but beyond that, we have decided we're going to start hitting like a different national park. Try to hit at least one a year. We're also going to start with Hot Springs because it's right here by us. And then we can travel out. Being military, we get free admission to all national parks anyway. So we had to pay probably a small camping fee. And then we'll go from there. But
and the Mark Twain National Forest is in Missouri too, right around Branson. So we can make a national forest and lake weekend.
Right. So a lot of our travel moving forward will be based around like actually camping and going out and hiking and fishing and probably, lots of hunting. I want to do a lot of travel hunting. So we'll put all that in future episodes. I think this one's probably gone long enough. Y'all are probably tired of hearing us talk. Sorry, Dad. I know it's not 30 minutes long or whatever. He was really worried about that.
Well, we'll get better at being concise. Maybe. But maybe not.
We have fun.
It's our podcast.
We enjoy talking. I got some pretty good advice. So we talked about how many listeners we have, and I think we really are around 35 downloads or something. But I talked to another gentleman, and he basically said we're at 37 downloads. He said, get 5 people that listen to you and entertain those 5 people. So if you're one of our 5 people, so that's
welcome back,
Dad and Heather, and where's Becca again?
Oh, it's so night.
It's time to go.
It's night time.
So we'll go ahead and close out. If you're one of our 5 people, thank you so much for being here.
We're gonna cuddles. Daddy
cuddles are inbound, buddy. We will talk to y'all next week. We don't know what we're gonna talk about yet. All right, we just make this stuff up. Sometimes, like tonight, we decided what we were gonna talk about. So we try to do it a little bit advanced, but we'll see.
We'll talk about a powwow or living in Native America.
I've actually got some Native American friends that I work with that
so maybe we can guest or something.
That they have discussed coming on and talking about Native American sports and hobbies that they have, like beading and stuff. So maybe we'll just tie all that in the next week. Anyway, we'll figure out next week when we get there. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm getting drug away from the computer.
Daddy cuddles are so important. Bye-bye, Daddy. Go cuddle. Thanks for listening to The Ultimate Hobbyist.